I'm waiting for it to go live.
What up? We're back. So Sergio did not like my thoughts because he came in and just stopped the show and just pulled the rug from under our feet. If you guys are on, can y'all please comment? Let us know you're here. Let's do this. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, we got to start from the beginning. So we are here,
We
and
are here.
but are they here? That's the question.
Yes, that's the burning question.
Because I
Yeah.
see it says one waiting. Is that somebody says really in our Slack? I just got here, guys. Okay, all right. Part two. Okay, so I see people coming in now.
Okay.
So we
Anybody
apologize for
commenting?
that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tara. Good to see you.
And Keisha's here too.
Yes, part two. Take two.
Boy, I am having so much fun today, dog. But Sergio, I don't know what he did.
He terrorized us. He said,
he
"You know what?"
he came in to mess with Ruben when
But
he
then he
should have
messed
been.
with the show.
He's like, my bad, y'all. I think I ended it.
uh,
All right. So as I was saying, I didn't think anything was wrong with what you were saying, Ruben. I said, I respect your comic book game. Sergio had to come in and tell you that you were giving a mid take on World Tree.
he said,
I'm,
like, you will agree with me on this show, or
I'm
else you will
like,
get in the boot.
is Tinny in paying you or something? He came so
Exactly.
hard.
Exactly. That's funny. But
Ah.
it's all good, Sergio. We're back. We're back. I'm glad we know it was a you thing and not us because we were like, I'm glad we know we can run smooth with
Yeah,
the
we
two
were
of
going
us.
run smooth without you. So,
We were doing just fine until you showed up now. Um,
ah,
but
that'll be
okay,
fantastic.
I think how many people? I don't have it on my end. How many people we got in the chat?
Um, I don't see it, but I see people commenting, so I'm not sure if it's
Okay,
showing us.
that's good. We can just jump back into it.
All
So
right,
World Tree.
World Tree. We were comparing it to Mindset from Zach Kaplan. Is what we were comparing it to.
I mean, mindset, but there's so many other books, movies even that you can compare it to. Uh, like, I feel like it's. Did you ever watch those VHS horror movies?
Bro, I love VHS. But I hadn't seen VH 94 yet. That's the one I hadn't seen.
That's one of the best ones.
And
Oh,
everybody keep telling me that. So I'm like, now I need to go watch it because like I need to go. You telling me this now?
they dropped a new one out of nowhere last year called
Hmm.
VHS Viral, um,
Okay.
which is kind of weird. Whoever heard of a VHS tape going viral? No, but VHS 94 was great. But anyways, that's the vibes. It's kind of funny. Like I love those movies so much. They're crazy and scary. But this seemed like one of those because VHS. If you guys don't know, it's a horror anthology. So each movie comes with like 4 or 5 different stories.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And this World Tree gave me like it was like a basically World Tree number one was a story that I could see from VHS from one of the stories. Um, and it's like I didn't hate this book. It just didn't wow me, you know. Uh,
But it's still early on, and I don't know if you heard this part, Ruben. I was telling Sergio, it reminds me of something that Warren Ellis would have done when he was still back in favoring comics, because Warren
oh,
Ellis still
okay,
hadn't come back yet, but
right,
Warren Ellis he used to explore these kind of crazy ideas, it gave me a Transmetropolitan vibe, even though I know it's not Transmetropolitan, but I'm like, all right, we're
yeah,
investigating the undernet and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. And who is this chick that's doing all this stuff, you know?
yeah. And I hate to be that guy, like just compares to other books, but this girl gives me some serious like something's killing the children or House of Slaughter. Just her aesthetic, like with her tattoos. But she's the burning question of the book. Like she's gonna have all the answers. Like you just know it.
She reminds me of, and I hadn't read the books or seen the movies, but the girl with the dragon tattoo, her aesthetic kind of reminds me of that, because it's like I'm assuming she's some kind of hacker or something like that, and she has the tattoos and sexy and all that stuff. That's the vibe I was getting from it.
I've seen those movies, and I could definitely see that. She looks a little bit older and taller, but I could
Yeah.
definitely see the comparison there with the like edge lord hacker aesthetic.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So, and I also defended you. Sergio's like, was he saying it a drop? I'm like, it's not a drop. He just saying, hey, I'm indifferent to it right now. I
I'm
think
very
it's a
in, I'm indifferent about it, but it has potential.
right. I mean,
You know,
it'll be a cop for me. I mean, I'm on 10 year train. I think, and I always hate when I say I don't like something because people, oh, well, you said you don't like this. You're hating on them. I'm like, no, I'm not hating on them. It's just like everything is not for everybody. Like Wind by Tinian, I wasn't that big a fan of Wind. WYND. Um, L told me about the closet, and I got the closet anyway.
oh
And
yeah.
I was like, it's okay. But L told me from when we first talked about it, she said, I read the closet already on his Substack. It's not what you really think it is. And she was right about that. I was okay. And Blue Book, I'm like, once I figured out Blue Book was somebody I think I've seen on TV, I'm like, okay.
Man, Tinian's turning into Jeff Lemire. Just you can subscribe to just Tinian books, and you'll have like a pretty good stack every week.
And that's a great. Well, first we acknowledge L's comment. L for shame. You had seen the VHS movies. For shame, they're great,
They're
especially
great,
the first of the.
crazy.
I've seen the first three, so I think they had five now. They're at five now, right?
Yeah, yeah. Second one's my favorite.
Damn. Now I'm looking at the comments again. Look at what the closet is, man. He
Yes,
said Blue Book is mad.
bring on all the hot takes. I haven't read either of those books, so. Ian, what did you? I think you mentioned it in the comments, but I think uh, he
Well, this
liked
this
World
must be
Tree.
Sergio right here. The closet started okay, but it wasn't for me because he used the House of Nerds.
Sergio, how dare you? There's no. I already forgot the book. Oh, discourse on this channel. Oh, Blue Book. Department of Truth. Wait, no, that's not Tinian, is it?
Yeah,
Is it?
Department of Truth is 10 years. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
Department of
Okay.
Truth.
For a second, I thought like that was like an anthology with like different writers.
No,
Um,
that's him. Now he does his Razor Blades, and in that 10 year, I hadn't read that yet. Have you read Razor Blades?
yeah, I saw that. No, I haven't read it, but I saw that in the back of the book, the
Yeah,
promo for it.
I think that's an anthology. And I think it's 10 and a couple different people. I'm not sure exactly how many stories he writes. He may be the editor or the curator, is what they call it.
The architect, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe hear me out, guys. I honestly don't know whether to call it a copper drop, but I will say that I wasn't blown away by issue number one, but I'm definitely curious to see what is going on. So, like, do I want to read more? Yeah, because I want to know, I want to solidify what exactly is going on, what's the foundation of the story. So, it's like, is that considered a cop? Or, uh, I don't know.
Yes. For the good of the world, let's call it a cop. For the good of the world,
It's cop-ish.
cop-ish.
Copy,
Cop adjacent. And hold up, let me
cop,
look at the comments.
cop-esque.
I like World Tree, but I get your opinions. I need more before I commit to it. For the first issue, was a bit lacking. Ooh,
That exactly. That's a great.
don't let
That's
Sergio see
okay.
that.
Well, that's he put it into words perfectly. That's what I'm feeling too, Ian. Um, the first issue didn't wow me, and yeah, before commitment, it's like I don't want to subscribe to the series, but next time it's like when number two is on the shelf, I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna read it in the comic book store so I can get a
Are you
better
one of
idea.
Are you one of those, Ruben, that you read it before you? All right, let me ask you this: because are you? How many pages do you have to read of a comic book before you decide you're gonna buy it in a store?
I don't guess I've ever done that. I usually just skim through it, like
Yeah.
you know, but sometimes, and I've only recently started doing this. Like yesterday, I was at my LCS and I read through Green Arrow number one because I heard it was great, but I didn't want to subscribe to it because I have plenty on my pull. Uh, I don't know, like I don't guess I have like a certain amount of page numbers, but I do like skim through it and get a feel of what's going on. That's what I did with Phantom Road.
Yeah, and I'm a skimmer too, but I probably will skim 10 pages. If I get past 10 pages, I say I need to go ahead and buy this because if I find myself compelled to keep going, I said that means to me that's a desire. Like, this is something good enough for me to buy. And then but if I'm like I'm having a hard time reading, and like nah,
Mm,
this ain't it for me. And
definitely.
I saw a question in the chat. Oh, here it is. What's everyone's favorite Tinian book?
Man, that's tough because I loved his Batman what he did there. Like I feel like he was the blueprint for what Batman writers should be doing and or like superhero writers. But
Mhm.
man, last Nice House on the Lake was his only um, non superhero book that I got into, and I really really enjoyed that so much. Like I read the first issue and I was like, okay, somebody pick this up and make it into a live action series. This is so cool. Because I'm just a sucker for a drawn out mystery.
Mhm.
But yeah, Nice House on the Lake. I guess I'll just say that Nice House on the Lake is my favorite Tiny book. How about you, Marklin?
Nice House on the Lake, but probably I'm gonna lean more towards Department of Truth.
Okay.
I'm I'm gonna lean towards Department of Truth, although the art is weird, but like when it's good, it's good. I mean, it's a good book, and I feel
Hmm.
like Tinian's putting a lot of himself in that book as well.
Yeah.
More so than But you could also argue that for Nice House on the Lake too, because I feel like the Walter character is Tinian. I feel like that's Tinian right there.
It
I
looks
do.
so much like him.
Exactly. Exactly.
I feel like I seen a pattern with that in his books. There's a lot of guys with like uh, longer hair and glasses,
Glasses. Yep.
button-up shirts, and that is like legit Tinian. Um, funny story. I mean, not much of a story, but like my LCS is doing working at a Las Vegas con, I believe, and they posted a picture with Tiny. They all went to dinner with Tiny and
Yeah.
Alvaro, the artist on Nice House on the Lake. So it was cool,
Right.
like a real big spread, looking like the Last Supper with Tiny in the middle.
Yep.
But yeah, they get that. They know Tiny pretty well. They said he's super super cool, really nice and down to
I
earth guy.
Yeah, Alvaro Martinez. Alvaro Martinez. I see it now. So, and I
Oh, I wasn't sure if that was his last name.
yeah, so you got it. And let's see who I saw some
Ian, you
comment.
get me. Nice House on the Lake is great. It had
Yeah,
three. Issue number one of Nice House on the Lake got three reprints.
man. But you know what? That was so dope because I think I read that. I probably finished that in the store, and I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
add this to my pull list right now. And and I think Keisha has a good comment. I skim too. If I'm on the fence, I buy a digital copy through the Comixology. It's cheaper. I've done that as well. You know.
See, I've thought about doing that, but what do you do when you read it digitally and you're just like, okay, this is great. I want to subscribe to it. Then you have to go pick up the number one because you don't want to just physically start at number two, you know? So it's like, I'll have to buy the book twice, dang it.
Yeah. Oh man, I hate when I buy. Well, yeah, I hate when I buy books twice, but if it's something good, like I used to do for my cousin, I would buy like 2 copies of Black Panther and give him one. I start doing
Okay.
stuff like that. Well, I'm gonna give you a copy of this, to hook you on.
Mhm. Well,
And
cool. What else did you pick up this past week?
man, you know what? Let me just skip to the chase. You know what my number one was for this week?
Let's hear it.
Philadelphia number 30, issue 30. Have you read that?
I have not, but Elle brings it up so much to me, like indirectly judges me for not even starting that book.
Did you say
Uh,
indirectly judging you?
ind indirectly judges me, like, how are you not caught up? Or like, go to the freaking public library and pick up the trades. But I just missed out on that, man. That and what's the other one? That Texas Blood. I just missed out on those books. Like, I
Well, you know
wasn't
what?
on the
I'm
radar.
behind on that Texas Blood, so I'm on
Mm.
Sergio's list for that right there because I know that's his book. But if I stay in any writer in any book, and if we don't, I hate my camera's not working right, or I can't talk and be on camera saying this. I'm gonna look at me. It's Rodney Barnes on Philadelphia. That's the book for me right there.
I've heard that a lot. Like, I've heard Philadelphia is constantly it just does not disappoint. Yep, see, there she goes. Kill it.
And I'm sure this is for me saying I'm not on that Texas Blood, so I'm sure that's for me, not you this time.
Probably for both of us.
Yeah.
Do you have a number two?
Yeah, yeah, man. I always got it. Number two is going to be Star Trek number 7 from IDW.
Really?
Man, I'm a Trekkie. Like I said, I don't know if you heard. We were talking about what we would watch for TV. I was like, man, if I had to pick one show, it would be Star Trek because there's enough Star Trek for this 881 hours of Star Trek now. I can
Dang.
watch Star Trek consistently. Everybody's in the Star Trek Picard love. We talked about it a lot when the Spoiler Kings were here, and I actually went back and watched Brian's review on their channel for Star Trek Picard,
Hmm.
and I'm like, man, I started rewatching the Next Generation, watching Star Trek Picard, just waiting for it to come up. The first season, Next Generation. I hadn't seen that on. I mean, it comes on all the time. I watch it, but I'm like, I started rewatching like I had never seen it again before. So yeah, but my favorite Star Trek captain is Benjamin Sisko from Deep Space Nine. So this is like his triumphant return to Deep Space Nine. Stuff we'll never see in real life because the actor probably won't ever come back to Star Trek.
Oh yeah. That's good to hear because like I'm not reading Star Trek, but I feel like when comics adapt things
Mhm.
that are already going on, like in movies or TV, like for example, there's a Dune comic going on right now,
Ah
and
man.
there's other stuff like, I mean, there's Power Rangers, Transformers, stuff like that. I feel like it's hit or miss when those comics are actually good to read, like readable, like good adaptions of the source material. So it's kind of cool to hear that. Oh, and Godzilla, that's another good example. When like you can sit there and truly enjoy the film, TV shows, and then also the companion comics. Like it definitely says a lot when you can enjoy both.
In Star Trek, they had this thing called Memory Beta. So Memory Alpha is all the TV shows and movies and stuff like that. And then that
Hmm.
Memory Beta is like all the novels and comic books. So they show you like the continuity. Like, well, in this continuity, this is what's happening right now. Because they'll start filling in gaps like Star Wars should do with their expanded universe. We'll fill in the gaps. But then new television or movie content comes out and it like basically negates all the content that's been built up over the years. So they're like, oh, what is the Splinter? This is the Splinter universe now. I'm like, what the hell? But
Yeah, I know Star Trek is definitely a rabbit hole, but cool. What about you got a number three?
of course I got a number three. But I'm gonna tell you a book I'm missing, and I just saw Ale talk about it. Ambassadors was sick. I've only got the first issue of Ambassadors. My store has not been getting them. Why need to go find another store that does have them?
Dang. Are you subscribed to it?
I don't know. Probably not. Probably not.
There's a
Why would you
first
say?
problem.
Why would you say something logical, Ruben?
uh,
Oh man! So number three for me was probably Star Wars, Darth Vader, Black, White, and Red. Which is what I put in Cop and Drop. Did you read that?
I read like one of the stories at at my LCS, the one that was just mostly black and white, and the art was really uh, inky. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's like I'll tell you what, like I've missed out on a lot of books, but I'm a Star Wars fanatic, and Darth
Hmm.
Vader is one of my favorite characters in all of fiction. Man, if I could be collecting Darth Vader comics, but like they're like neck deep into whatever arc is going on, but I'm really excited to when it comes to anthologies like that, man, I can't do singles. Like I'm just like this is like obviously so much better collected in a trade. So like hopefully a hardcover because you can just pull it off your shelf and just pick a story from one of those many anthologies. Because how many stories was it? Like four?
Yeah, it was like four. It was like
Like
four in
four.
there.
So if it's an issue, if it's like a 5 or 6 issue series, it'll be like, 20, 24 issues long. So it'll be great to trade. But yeah, what'd you think about it?
I enjoyed it, man. But I like and I'm a much bigger Star Trek fan than Star Wars. But I love Vader stories, especially when Vader comes and beat the hell out of people. When you've seen Rogue One, right? In the Rogue One, everybody should have seen that by now.
Rogue One. Is that the
The one where
greatest
they got the
Star
plans.
Wars movie to come
Yeah,
out in the Star Wars era? I mean,
it
the Star Wars
it
era,
came
the
out.
Disney
Yeah,
era. Disney
yeah,
era.
the Disney era.
Best Star Wars movie of recent years.
The one where Vader shows up in the end and just basically start whacking on people. That's the
You
Vader
know,
I like right there.
I don't know how true this is, but I heard that was a last minute addition to the film.
Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but it definitely worked.
Oh, dude, I was in tears. Like I was like, oh, I was the chills upon my stomach being tied in knots, seeing that Darth Vader scene, and then seeing Leia, and then of course seeing Tarkin. I thought it was all really good deep
Yeah,
fake. I thought it was great. I love
I,
that movie so much.
I enjoyed every much. I mean, I would go back, especially when I got on YouTube. I should replay that part. I said, man, watch Vader whack him. Vader finna whack him. And it,
I've
and it,
seen that. There's like
and
90 million views.
yeah, and it's like they are running from a genuine fear. Like this dude is finna f me up. There's no way around it. He's gonna do it.
And then
And,
it directly connects to A New Hope, the movie we all grew up like loving.
and see, you
Oh,
still
so
call it
well
New
done.
Hope. I still call it Star Wars. I'm like original Star Wars.
Star Wars number one.
Exactly. All right. So L has a good point. Enjoyed Alien very much. Did you read Alien this week
Me,
from Marvel?
no. Philip Kennedy Johnson. I read his first arc, like his first 3 issues, and I thought it was really, really interesting. But I just
But
had to cut back at the time. But yeah, I know he's
and
doing
I
good
get it.
stuff.
So this alien is not actually Philip Kennedy Johnson. It's Declan Shalvey. That I know him from Time After Time, and I think Old Dog. He's taking over as the writer now.
Oh, so it's
And
not Johnson anymore?
nope, Johnson's run is concluded. I think it's the Johnson volume or something like that. So it's a new volume.
How long did he go for?
I feel like he went like 18 issues, maybe. It was like three 6 issue arcs. I
Okay,
feel that's what it was.
well that's cool.
Uh, I did like Alien. It To me it was just set up because I mean basically it's like, oh, we're on this planet and we find this alien and the corporation comes in and you know like, oh, it's gonna end badly, but we just didn't see how it's gonna end yet. You know.
So is this new writer like? Is it taking place directly after Johnson's run?
Yeah, because you know they do this whole thing in each book, like in 22 so and so this happened, in 20, you know, they start with the first two movies, and they kind of list the events of previous comics. You know, they give you a
Just like
timeline,
Predator?
e- exactly like Predator. Although I think Predator's doing it better right now because you've been reading Predator, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Predator is doing it much better because that new story arc, where you had Athena from the previous story arc,
yeah, on that
I feel like
planet.
I feel like it's a remix of the Predators movie with Adrian Brody. That's what I feel like. It's a remix of that. You know, just bring it to comics. You know, because instead of them like, oh, we pulled these people from Earth, we pulled them from different eras of Earth and dropped them on this planet.
I I don't. I'd like to know your thoughts on this, but I think Predators was so overhated. I thought it was a lot of fun, like a really unique idea. I don't get. I just when it comes to Predator movies, I think it's one of those franchises where people only like the first one, and the rest of them just get all this flack. I loved the Predators with Adrian Brody. I thought it was a great cast. I don't know what the deal was.
Ruben, that's why you're my man. First of all, I agree with you on this. Second of all, I'm gonna tell you this: my favorite Predator is not the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's the one with Danny Glover because Danny Glover did more damage.
Number
It was
two?
pretty. Yes, number two. Think about it. Danny Glover cut off the Predator's arm, tracked him down to the subway tunnel, killed him, and got a gun as a token of respect.
See, I think that is up there with Alien versus Predator, the one that people hate. Oh no, the most hated one is probably The Predator. That was not good. I did not enjoy that one, but
Because I
it's good
mean,
to hear that you like number two.
it didn't make well. The Predator didn't make sense. I was like, okay, so they're sending this Predator. Like, who sent this Predator suit to help y'all? I mean, who did this? I was like, that's what I'm wondering in the end. And are we gonna see what happens next? You know,
Mhm.
I was left asking more questions than anything else. You know, in that
Yeah,
movie.
that was something else. Like the main Predator dies halfway through the movie. Spoilers, sorry guys, but it's not. Even if you did watch it, you wouldn't like it. Um, but cool, yeah. I'm really enjoying the Predator comics. I just I'm curious to see where Ed Brisson goes from here uh, after this arc. Yeah, Prey was amazing. Prey was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
Prey should have went to the movie theater. I mean, it should have. It was that good, you know. Um,
I
I,
really do wonder how it would do in theaters because it was a hit on streaming, but I liked it a lot.
well, you know, I mean, not comic related, but like the Whitney Houston movie, I Want to Dance for You. That's on Netflix. It's like number one on Netflix for like I don't know how long now.
Oh, really? That's
But I don't think
cool.
it did that well in the theater though. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes things translate differently.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like things can do really good in theaters, or they wouldn't do as good in streaming, and vice versa. Um, no telling why or how. Well, cool. Let me get to my pool, which is
What you got on there, man?
it's nothing compared to yours. Like it's honestly, this was a really, 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 really light week for me. Uh, so man, I'm not gonna do like in order of what I think was best, but there's a book that I've been reading from DC that is great. I don't know anybody else reading it, but it
Okay.
is Riddler Year One
I've
from
seen it and I'm not
the
reading it, so tell me about it.
this is the tie-in from the Batman movie, written by the actor who plays the Riddler, Paul Dano, and art by Steven Subic.
Hmm.
So this is so basically. Um, the interview with Matt Reeves, he said how this book came to be, that because you know how actors, they immerse themselves in the characters that they're about to play. You know, like Robert Pattinson, he read like all the Batman comics he could.
Wait,
For
really? Robert Pattinson
Robert,
read? Okay, all right.
I mean, like that's what. Yeah, he was talking a little bit about it, and he was like, "Yeah, and then at that time I was reading the Tom King run, and then yeah." So he definitely did his research, and good on you, L. Good taste. So Paul Dano, who I've always loved him as an actor. The dude, he was in Prisoners, incredible. He was in Okja. He was in some other
He
movie.
was in Little Miss Sunshine. That's the first thing I remember seeing Paul Dano in. He was like the brother.
Uh-huh. And then when he got announced for Riddler, I was like, I can see this. Um, uh, before Paul Dano was cast, it was supposed to be Jonah Hill, but
Really?
he turned it down. I mean, it's pretty obvious. He like Jonah Hill was in talks to be. Yeah, I don't. I'm pretty sure they said that like in talks to be the Riddler, but then he turned it down because they didn't reach agreement with pay. He wanted to get paid just as much as Pattinson, but they weren't. They couldn't come to an agreement.
Well, I mean,
And
he is an
then
Academy nominated actor, so you know.
true, but his presence wouldn't be as strong as Pattinson's like screen time. I don't know the politics of that,
I mean,
but
I agree with you, but
mhm. So the article comes out that he turned down the role, is no longer in talks to join the film, and then like right after that, they announced Paul Dano was cast as the Riddler. So I guess Dano was the runner up, but hey, he did great. He was phenomenal. So he goes up to Matt Reeves, and I guess this check-in actor to director, like, hey, here's where I am with this character. Here is the history of the Riddler, Edward, before the movie takes place. And Matt Reeves is just sitting there, just like, this sounds like a comic book, dude. And so he gets on the phone with Jim Lee, like, hey, I have an idea for you. And so Paul Dano, the actor, is writing this book. This is number 4. It's been really, really good. It's getting kind of dark. This last issue was probably the darkest, and when I say that, I mean like mentally, because uh, book 4, it's kind of like takes you back to him as an orphan.
okay.
The whole book, issues 1 through 3, it was him as just an adult, like at his day job, crunching numbers and slowly finding that motivation to become the Riddler.
Uh-huh.
Issue 4, it's all about him as a kid at the orphanage and him getting picked on, and he didn't speak, and he didn't like use his words to speak for whatever reason. He was like that. Um, I don't even know. They might be hinting that he just was born like not all there, maybe. But
Hmm.
at the orphanage, they would sing like I don't know if it's kind of like maybe like a religious orphanage or something like that. But
Ooh,
they would sing hymns like during their school time, and that's the only time that he would use his voice.
really?
And then yeah, and then you see him as a little kid meeting Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne, who's running for mayor at the time, inspires him like none other to like he's like, hey man, you're not the only person in the world like you, like do what you want to do, just breathing life into him, and that like changed him. But this last issue was really dark in the sense of you really get into his head and you see the way certain events that happened and certain words spoken to him, just you're seeing the trauma that he faced, and like you see his reaction and his face kind of gets distorted, kind of like it was in Nice House on the Lake where
Okay.
Walter's face just kind of like stretched out. um, and then the panels with the headmaster, it gets creepy. Like there's like 3 panels of the headmaster looking like in the background, and as the panels progress, his face gets darker and darker, and he looks like a monster. So I think that was Dano trying to illustrate like the monsters that he had to grow up with, and like made him what he was. But and the art is amazing. But yeah, this is a really really good book, and I wish more actors, especially comic book actors, did this. Uh, yeah, I could see that L, but um, I I'm definitely feeling it in the sense of it's coming from Dano's. like inner core, you know, because a
Now,
lot of actors do this. Go ahead.
I would say, you know what, well, just in One Bad Day Riddler, that was really good. So and I think I read that, and I thought that was the Riddler year one. I think I picked that up thinking, oh, but this is
Oh,
part of the One Bad Day series. But I agree with her on that.
I read that like only recently, a couple weeks ago. That book was dark. That is the scariest I've ever seen the Riddler. Tom King killed it in that book.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree. I agree with you on 2 points. One, I think one Tom King did kill it in Riddler One Bad Day because he made the Riddler seem dangerous. But also, I think Paul Dano's depiction of the Riddler was dangerous. I said, this is someone I feel like is a serial killer that will go out and kill people. That's how I felt watching that. And Sergio, I got mad at me about this too. I was like, I'm not the biggest fan of the Batman. I don't think the Batman's good. Rephrase that. I don't think Patterson. I think he's the weakest part of the Batman. I think Dano's good. I think Zoe Kravitz is good. I think Colin Farrell's good.
Oh yeah.
I think he's just the weakest part of it.
Hot take for sure.
Yeah, it is. I
Um,
think.
yeah, but what was I saying? Yeah, I'd like to see more of this, like in comics, because so many actors just immerse themselves in the characters. Like Sydney Sweeney, I've heard this, not 100%, but Sydney Sweeney, I heard that she writes a novel for all the characters that she's about to play
Wait, you talking about the girl
for
from you talking about the girl
Euphoria.
from Insomnia? Is that who you're talking about?
Insomnia? Sydney
Blonde head
Sweeney,
actress?
the blonde from Euphoria, White Lotus.
Yeah, 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 Euphoria. I said Insomnia.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah,
I haven't heard of that one.
yeah. She
Um,
was in the White Lotus too. Yeah, I know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah, and she's about to be in Madam Web. Um, um,
Oh, now they hating on me. They turn from you to me.
yeah, yeah, that's okay though. But Ian over here, he loves some City Sweeney, but yeah, I heard she writes novels for um,
I'm sorry.
damn,
You don't get a hot take right there, Rube.
damn. But
But she got
all in
beat by
all, it'd be cool to see because we like these characters that we're seeing on the screen, so it'd be cool to see like more of them from other mediums like comics because it works because this is really really good. Um, and of course, like you got Keanu Reeves doing Berserker. What are some other situations? Shazam, the Fury of the Gods. All the actors they wrote Shazam stories in that little
Re-
anthology book.
really?
Yeah,
How
Ross
did I miss that?
Butler.
How did I miss
Like
that?
yeah, dude, it was a one shot. It had like um, mini stories where the kids wrote stories, like the kids and the adults. It was all or most of them. They wrote stories about their characters for the movie, like a promo. That was super super cool. I skimmed through it, but yeah, it's on DC Universe. I want to read that.
And I'm about to make him really mad right now, Ruben. I dislike Patterson and Batman so much that I like Shazam Fear of the Gods better. They gonna really come at me
Whoa!
now. They gonna come at me now. No, no.
Wowzer!
I mean, I like Black Adam better. I just dislike Patterson as emo Bruce Wayne. He's okay as Batman, but everybody else I liked more than him.
Well, I mean, I hear you there, and I have hope for the sequel because Pattinson in the first movie, I think I interpreted that he came to realize how important his Bruce Wayne persona really is. Because we didn't see Bruce Wayne in the film. What we just saw
Right.
the Batman. That's my interpretation. Um, so I think in the next movie we may see Playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne out and about making because his philanthropy was important. Like the mayor, I think it was who was that lady that he was speaking with, where she was like, we could use some support from Bruce Wayne. Like,
Yeah, she was running for mayor. You're right. She was running for mayor.
see stuff like that. And whenever he was Batman, but whenever he got the little flare and was leading them out of the water, like he was like, I don't have to be this dark, brooding um, vigilante to be what this town needs. So, oh, I thought Ian was agreeing with you, but
Nah, I said it because I'm not saying that, but I think I did enjoy Shazam too. And I think Pattinson's performance took me out, but I couldn't stop talking about like you, Ruben. I couldn't stop talking about Dano. I couldn't stop talking about Zoe Kravitz. I couldn't stop talking about Colin. What his name is? He's about to get a Penguin show. That's how good he was.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
I think we could get a lot out of a Catwoman show with Zoe Kravitz, but hey,
I agree.
there's never say never. Um, yeah, I really want to see what I want to do because this series is almost over. I've seen the Batman twice. I really, really enjoyed it. I watched it once in theaters and once with my parents. So once this book finishes, I want to turn right back around and watch the Batman again because then I'll have like a very b- better understanding of Dano's Riddler. So I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, so let me just see. Are you a fan of Patterson and Ever Rose's Lighthouse, Good Time, Rover, etc.? I didn't. The only thing I've liked Patterson in was the movie he did with Denzel's son, Tenet,
Oh,
Tenet, Tenet. That's the only thing I've ever liked Patterson in. And I'll be honest with you, I hated the Twilight stuff, so that's probably what it is.
I did not care for Tenet, and I love Nolan so much. I it's like every great director might miss, and that just was not a movie for me.
I mean, I didn't. Well, you got me on Nolan now. I mean, I've been a Nolan fan since Memento.
Oh,
That's when I
really?
first, yeah. Memento's the movie that got me hooked on Nolan. Before he did the Batman stuff, and then you just got to know what you get into with Nolan. It's gonna be long. It's gonna be drawn out. You may or may not understand it. In the end.
Well, Tenet was just a bummer for me because the last Nolan film that I saw was Interstellar, and that movie completely blew my mind. That is one of the greatest movies that I'd seen in years. I love me some time travel, and that was just so well done. It was very long, but that's one of my favorite movies from Nolan, or in all of sci-fi.
So that's the movie Interstellar. Okay, that's the one with Matthew McConaughey, right?
Matt
I
McConaughey,
watched
Jessica Chastain.
right. I watched that on a flight. I was flying back from Brazil from this when I was in graduate school. This field trip, this field study.
Okay.
I was so captivated. I had to go to the bathroom on the plane, and I couldn't I was like, I don't even want to stop the movie because you watching it's an in-flight movie, so you're like I don't want to miss it, you know. But it was long. It was long, and it was like drawn out. And I'm like, but it was good, but it was long and drawn out too.
I hope you turned right back around and watched it on the big screen.
Nah, man. I mean, we were just on the movie. It was like the flight movie. I said, hey, I can't sleep. We flying back from Brazil to USA. This movie was like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours. I might as well watch this. Take up the time.
Yeah, so you only saw it that one time?
I saw that one time.
Ugh.
What is it? Twilight movies
It-
suck. Ten is amazing. The Batman's a masterpiece. Okay,
he disagrees with both of us.
I know that takes a special
um,
skill right there, Ian.
yeah, yeah. Hey, but Interstellar is a long movie, but it's definitely worth a rewatch. Definitely has rewatch value.
Okay,
But my next book, this is a very this is a very intense discussion for me.
okay, I'm gonna hear it.
Detective Comics from Ron
Okay, I've
V.
read it. I've read it. I'm gonna hear what you got to
Okay,
say.
you're caught up. You're caught up.
I'm caught up.
Um, so Ron V is one of my and one of our favorite writers, creators on the House of Nerds show. I love
Hmm.
this guy. Now, just because he's your favorite writer doesn't mean you're gonna like everything he does.
Hmm.
I tried his Carnage run; it wasn't for me. But I'm also not a huge Marvel guy. Detective Comics. Okay, I've never collected Detective ever, but I'm
Really?
collecting. Yeah, I'm collecting
Okay.
Batman, but I've never. I just don't like the idea of having two ongoings of the same character, you know. And
That's the
you
whole
know,
comic market right there, bro. That's it. That's the
not.
whole comic market.
I mean, some people are okay with having like a dozen books on their pull per week, but not me. But I just when I saw the tease of what Romby was doing, the opera aesthetic, I was all for it, man. And I saw the teases with Two Face with the Phantom of the Opera mask on him. Um, anyways, I think we're 9 or 10 books into this series of Detective Comics,
Right.
and it's like I like what I've. It's a very divisive book. I have not heard anybody say they love it. If I bring it up, I'm like, "Hey, are you reading Detective Comics? What do you think?" their reactions are always like, um, okay, so here's what I like and what I don't like. Like it's just so divisive. And I my take on this book, it should have been a mini series. I think Ron
Okay.
V should have like had a very focused like 12 issue mini of a Batman story, not detective, um, but just a very laser focused story of 12-ish issues. Because I feel like this story is very interesting. So you read this last issue. This
Right.
was
Yeah,
a heavy last issue. Like
it
we learned
was.
a lot.
I mean, it is very exposition heavy. It's a heavy read because I was like reading. I said, "Damn, I'm still reading this." It's like you reading a page, like I'm still reading this page.
Exactly. And like I didn't it took me a minute to bag and board it because I read it, but then I was like, I need to
I gotta
go
go
back
back
and
and
read
look
it
at it again.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because it's just there's so much to absorb. But all in all, like it was a very interesting story because you got Vandal Savage showing up, you have flashbacks with Ra's al Ghul and how he ties into the events that are playing today. And this is taking place. This is a story time between Talia and Batman. They're kind of sitting having tea. Batman's like, "Give me answers. I don't know. Like, I need help to understand what's going on." And then she's like, "Okay, well, let me take you to the beginning." Uh, and you see how Ra's al Ghul tied in with these people
The
that are in Gotham today,
the
and
organs, the
the
organs, and
orgams. Thank you. I'm not
yeah,
so much like terminology to remember from these, but the orgams, yeah.
yeah,
Um, and Vandal Savage, who I have not seen in comics for so long, and he's one of the big bads in all of DC.
right.
So somebody finally picked up Vandal Savage. Come on, man! Like I haven't even seen him in a Justice League comic in years.
Well,
But
Vandal Savage was very active in the Young Justice animated series. He's like, and I think they did the best job. Like, hey, Vandal. I mean, and of course in the CW shows as well. He was active in the
we're not
first
gonna talk
season
about that.
Legends of Tomorrow, which is now canceled, where everything's coming in now on CW. But
Yeah,
he's active in that stuff as well. But you're right. I mean, since JSA, I hadn't seen Vandal Savage really get used a lot. The old
yeah,
JSA, the Jeff Johns, and they were writing back in the 2000s.
yeah. And he's one of the big bads of DC, like the Justice League villains. Like we see Lex all the time. We see Ra's al Ghul. We see uh Darkseid here and there. Who else? I mean, you get what I'm saying. So
Right.
somebody finally brought back Vandal Savage, but it was in a Batman book in a flashback. But it's okay because Savage lives forever. So maybe we'll see him in the next issue or something. I don't know. Um, but this was a heavy book, a lot to take in, and it's like I'm enjoying this run. I mean, it's a challenging run to enjoy, but I am digging it, and the backup stories are also super cool.
Yeah, Mr.
Um,
Freeze backup story.
Mr. Freeze, Two-Face was great.
Yeah.
That art was like intense. So I'm curious to see what they do next in the whatever backup story. I hope
But I
Simon
like
Spurrier stays there.
I like what you just said. I like it, but it's a challenge to enjoy. That is a great description of it.
It's just like, what are you doing, man? Like, what a book is expensive. So Detective Comics is four ninety
It's four
nine,
ninety nine. Yeah, I saw
and
that.
we're buying this every month. And for the longest time, me and I talked about this with other people. It's like, okay, we're 6 issues in. What is happening? What's going on? Who? What is this leading up to? And then I just I saw like the name of the arcs. They're like I'll just call it like Nocturne Part
Yeah.
Two point Part Two Part whatever. And I'm like, I didn't even understand the first part. What are we talking about, part two? Like, it's just a
It's
very
definitely something you have to go back and reread once it's all done. I mean,
yeah,
but I understand this is what Ramvia said, like I'm doing an opera, basically, and the stories are set up, the story arcs are set up like different parts of opera.
yeah. And I'm gonna give a take, and then I want to hear your thoughts on the overall
Okay,
Detective
I'm
Comics.
excited.
Yeah, I have never felt so strongly about a book being read better as a trade than I do this book. I think like if anybody was to tell me, "Hey man, do you think I should pick up Detective Comics by Ron V?" I would be like, "Honestly, man, no. Wait till it's in trade and then you're probably going to enjoy it." I've never felt as strongly about that take because people say that all the time. Like, oh, it was a great run, but it would have been better as a trade.
Right.
That is this. I pray that, and honestly, Rom doesn't stay on books that long. Like
Hmm.
he just left Carnage um, after 11 or 12 issues. This is on issue 9 or 10. I think the longest run he was on was Catwoman, which was like 23 issues.
Yep.
Um, but he does a lot of minis. So all that to say, I hope that whenever he finishes, it's collected in a series of a single book collecting all of the issues of this series, not like multiple hardcovers in 6 issue increments. Like I wanted it all in one. So, but yeah, that's my take. What are your thoughts on Detective Comics by Ron V overall?
I agree with your take, but I don't know about being one single issue because I'm like, that's gonna be expensive as hell. That's what I'm talking about. That's gonna be expensive. But
Well, the
I,
sites I buy from,
I mean, well, that's a whole different discussion right there. But
yeah,
I agree,
nothing sketchy, but like just there's some sites with like affordable. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. I enjoy it, but I'm like, oftentimes I'm left scratching my head, like, what's going on, and hoping. Usually, when I experience, it, I'm like, it'll make sense at the end of when you get to the end of it. That's usually where I am right there, and I'm like, all
Hmm.
right, but we still like, okay, we still trying to figure out exactly who this Oregon family is, and we like part three, the third arc into this right now.
Exactly.
I'm like, who the
Exactly.
hell?
This is 9 or 10 issues in. I'm not sure how many exactly, but I think it's 10. Um, and in the beginning, I was getting, or not the beginning, like midway, I was getting excited because he was starting to pump out Batman's rogues gallery, like Two
Right.
Face and Miss. I mean, what we saw from Two Face was cool, but now I don't know where he is. And Mr. Freeze, oh, I was so excited for a good Mr. Freeze story with tying into this, but I think Mr. Freeze was truly there for like 2 issues, and then he went to the back issues,
Right,
um,
right, right. Because the
which
Mr.
are
Freeze
good
story is
back
a whole
issues.
different story. It's really about the psychologist chick that Mr. Freeze is experimenting on more than him. But it's an interesting take on Mr. Freeze too, because I like how she told him off. Like, wait a minute,
She told him straight off and then kicked him in the nuts and just
Yeah,
like, get over yourself. And she's a shrink. She's a
exactly.
like it's what she does for a living, but I guess she's never been challenged like that. But the backup stories are cool. But I was just excited to see um, what Mr. Freeze was up to in the main story with the orgums, with these people. Some of it's cool though. Some of it reminds me of like a anime manga. Like you got those 3 characters with the masks, like
Uh-huh.
that one like werewolf guy. I'm trying to remember the guy with multiple arms.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
see,
it
that was cool.
it's like a supernatural horror story, but you don't really understand what they are. And of course, this goes into Batman being unstoppable. What I like about it though is it's almost a direct, I would say, it's it's different than what Chip Zdarsky is doing Batman, because Chip Zdarsky's Batman to me is like unbelievable at times. I'm like, what? And I don't know if I lost you or not. I think I lost Ruben, y'all. Well, we're gonna wait to see if Ruben comes back, y'all. But y'all getting the real deal comic book conversations over here today. Doing these hot takes. But what I was saying is like Chip Zdarsky's Batman is like so over the top. I can do anything. Yep, yep. I think I see that now, Tara. But Chip Zdarsky's Batman is like over the top. I can do anything. Where Ron V's Batman is like, I don't really know what's going on here, but I'm a mortal person, so weird things are gonna happen. You know, and that's what I enjoy about the different takes on Batman right now. So we're gonna see if Ruben can get back in. And while we're waiting, I'm gonna look through the comments. So I already kind of got a bunch of them already on here. But I do still see some more Interstellar love. Interstellar 3 times at the cinema. Oh, I see him popping back in now. Add him to the stream. You back again?
I have no idea what happened. My set just decided to just kill itself.
Well,
Um,
what I was saying
but
is that
that's okay. We're back. It's been a day of technical difficulties, but hey, um, I'm sorry. Detective Comics. It's a supernatural. That's what I last remember hearing.
yeah, I was like, it's a supernatural take on Batman experiencing weird things in comparison to Chip Zdarsky's Batman, where Batman can do anything. Where Batman can fall from the moon and land and still go try and fight failsafe, to where he deals with weird supernatural stuff and detective like, I don't know what just happened here, and I don't understand any of it.
Yeah, it's is it what? Did you collect the Mariko Tamaki run?
Uh huh.
So I didn't collect that, but I did like kind of kept up with it in a way because I knew it tied in with like Fear State,
Right.
the stuff
That's the
going
only
on in
reason
the
I did
main
it.
Batman comics.
Hmm.
Um, don't you agree? This is a big jump, like from Mariko Tamaki to
Yes,
this.
yes, I do. It's like we're in this weird supernatural mystery detective story, but not even Batman knows what's going on in it, essentially.
Yeah, I
You
got
know,
you.
but I like that we got to. Well, I kind of sort of like we got to see Ra's al Ghul because
Oh,
we keep.
Marklin, I can't hear you.
Uh-oh, I don't know why you can't hear me. Am I? Can everybody else hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, Tasha. Thanks, Tara. Um, but since my poll was not super heavy this week, I could talk a little bit about some books I picked up last week.
Well, let me ask you
World's
this though.
Finest has been great.
Wait, before we go into, let me ask you this.
Or
You said you read Green Arrow, right?
oh, I didn't pick it up. I read it in the shop.
What do you think about Green Arrow? I want to hear your thoughts on that.
The new one?
Yeah, the new one.
Oh, I thought it was a great number one. Like I was definitely interested. Like it went from a 6 issue series to a 12,
What?
and I heard about that, and I thought like it was a very well. I'm kind of getting burnt out of like what they're doing a lot right now in DC is they're focusing on families, like Action Comics. It's it's got the whole super family in there, including Keenan Kong and Power Girl and those new characters from the last run. It's a big cast, and then but funny enough, Detective Comics not so much of the Bat family. Um, Green Arrow, they have a big family, and you Josh Williamson did a really good job of introducing, spotlighting each character, like Cheshire Cat, Roy Harper, Black Canary, Connor Hawk, and just who they are, where they come from. It's an incredible jumping on point for a Green Arrow fan if you haven't been interested. But the ending made me really curious. Like, what the heck is happening? Where did they go? And how was Amanda Waller tie into that? But yeah, what'd you think?
I agree with you. I mean, I'm a Williamson fan. I think he did an excellent job on it. I will add it to my pull list because I want to see what happens.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm happy to see. You talk about the families, but Detective Comics did it first, or a couple. Tinian did it on Detective Comics. I mentioned earlier. He had the whole Bat family in there as well. I'm enjoying the Superman family in Action Comics. Even when they acknowledge the black sheep like Power Girl, she's in the book but not part of them. Like
Yeah,
I'm
who's
not
also
really
getting her
one.
own series.
Yeah, I'm not really part of y'all, but yeah, I associate with y'all. And I like the reveal with with Roy's daughter, Leanne. Was it Leanne being
Leanne
alive?
Harper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because remember she got killed probably about 10 years ago, and
yeah,
and
and
that
so did
that
he
pissed off.
like two or three times.
But that pissed off a lot of people. I mean, y'all killing kids in DC Comics now? Come on, come on, son, come on.
Oh, dang, think I lost you again, Mark.
Yeah, I'm here.
uh,
But overall, I like it. I'm gonna add it to my pull list. So you were talking about World's Finest from last week. Can you hear me?
yeah.
World's Finest from last
Are
week.
you are you reading it? Are you collecting
I'm
it?
I'm not. But I read the last issue I read was the date
Yeah.
issue.
So, World's Finest. I mean, first of all, this is an all-star team. Like Mark Wade, legend, and Dan Mora. The art's been amazing. Uh, the stories have just been so unique, so fresh, and such a good. this fresh breath of air for a DC fan from all any era really. I'm glad we're seeing a lot of characters that we don't see very often. Like uh, the first arc, we saw Doom Patrol, and then we saw a new character, or newish character, I think, Boy Thunder. That was really fun. And then we got Metamorpho, who I thought always
What?
thought was a super cool character. Yeah,
Wait,
Metamorpho.
Metamorpho's back? Oh, that's my dude right there.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
Oh, okay.
Right here. Yeah, he's uh, tied into the story pretty well. Like he's being framed for murder. Um, and then, yeah, you got to check this out. In the next issue, we're getting Ultra Morpho or Ultra Metamorpho, where somebody made a perfected version of Metamorpho. So it's not him. It's like a, it's like an Amazo kind of thing. Like took his powers, but like upgraded. So that's been good. Um, Interested for that arc, and I'm excited for Shazam because Mark Wade and Dan Mora is doing the Shazam run with number one. I think that comes out next week. If yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm really excited about that. Um,
Wait, did you
because
were you reading the Mary Marvel Shazam series that was out?
no, I didn't. I didn't, but I heard it was really good. I like the art.
Yeah. I'm
Did
curious
you?
because I got the first issue of my pull box, but I never actually bought it,
Oh,
and I think I just stopped following. But I'm curious about Mark Wade and Dan Mora being on Shazam, especially they explore the family because I like
well, if
the
you've heard of
Shazam
something
family.
called Comics Cube,
Hmm. I hadn't heard of it.
there's a he did an interview with Comics Cube, Mark Waid did, and it was very enlightening on his what he's going to do with Shazam. He said, so if anybody's familiar with Shazam, Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel was not like a child in a man's body. Like he was always like the wisdom of Solomon was always evident.
Hmm.
And so Mark Waid straight up said, like, no offense, no disrespect to Zachary Levi's interpretation of Shazam, but what I want to do is I want to bring back the wisdom of Solomon and that maturity. So basically, based on that interview, Shazam won't be a man child.
Okay, but that's something you see primarily in the movie because
Oh,
do you remember the
you
just
broke out again. Sorry.
oh man, can you hear me? The JSA run on Shazam when Shazam was
Is it
having
just
Jeff.
me, or can y'all hear
Yeah,
Marklin?
yeah, they hear me.
Okay, no, I hear you now too. Sorry, but that was say it again.
The JSA run when Jeff Jones ran JSA and he had Shazam in there, we had a relationship with Stargirl. That was so poignant to me because basically it was like everybody's like, well, you can't be dealing with this young girl because you're Captain
Yeah, I
Marvel and
think Shazam. I think Jeff Johns is the one who did that,
yeah, Jeff
isn't he?
Johns was the one who did that. But also was like but they connected because they were both teenagers, but nobody really knew it. And it was kind of sad because he was
That's fair.
the wisdom of Solomon told him
But
like, look, you got to leave this girl
today,
alone.
I don't know. It's just I guess it worked back then, but I mean, I don't think it's bad, but a lot of Captain Marvel fans hate it like to the core. Um like correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not too versed in this, but I think Jeff Johns started that like solidified it in the New 52 run whenever it was a backup for Justice League.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and,
Okay.
and they ended it because the wisdom of Solomon was telling him, like, hey, you cannot be with this girl. I know you like her, but so long as you like the avatar of the magic and all that stuff, you cannot be with her. And he broke up with her. She was like, please, Billy, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't listen to the voices in your head. He's like, I got you. So this Shazam man child thing is a
Man,
movie
that's
take.
intense.
Yeah.
I never got to read that run. It's like one of my many, many things that I need to read, want to read, but it's just so big of a run. I mean, when something's collected in three omnibuses, that's when you know it's huge.
All right. So what else you got, Ruben?
Uh, Again, this is from last week, but Static,
Man,
Shadows of Dakota.
how did you like it? I haven't. It's still in
This
my stack to
is
read from last week. I gotta read
from
it.
Vida Ayala, Nicholas Draper Ivy, who is a titan of the art industry. His art is so iconic. There's no doubt in my mind he has a big career in animation and art in his future, but they're co-writing this book, and man, to be honest, I was so excited whenever Ebon was teased for this series, but I gotta say this because I love me some Static. I'm collecting all the Milestone books. Um, this series just seems a little weaker than the first one. Like it's a mini series of 6 issues, and we've seen Static and Ebon in every issue, but we haven't seen them meet yet. So the pacing is just interesting, but of course I'm gonna collect it. But I just wish it was like executed a little better. But yeah, you're collecting this, aren't you?
I am collecting it, but I'm an issue behind. So I hadn't read it. I have that issue, but I hadn't read it yet. But what you said, I've heard other people say.
Oh,
So
okay.
so you're not alone in that. Let me ask you this. Over trying to figure out how to phrase it. How do you feel about the reintroduction of Milestone Comics?
Damn, I keep losing you.
How do you feel about the reintroduction of Milestone Comics right now? I don't know. You can't
There
hear
you
me.
are.
I
Yeah,
said I was asking how do you feel about the reintroduction of Milestone Comics right now?
man. Um, so I really like the first Icon, the first Hardware series, and the Static, of course. I was indifferent about the Blood Syndicate. I'm not a big Jeffrey Thorne guy. Like I'm
Oh
just
no.
well, okay, I won't say that. From what I've read, I'm not
Uh-huh.
big on like his Green Lantern run. Ooh, that was like again can of worms discussion, but Green Lantern
The
run was
word.
something else. I know it got a lot of criticism. That's why he didn't get to finish the way he wanted to finish. He finished in a John Stewart one shot. Uh, but him on the Blood Syndicate. I will tell you one thing though, for the milestone characters, like as far as like the 4 main ones, like Static Icon, Hardware, and Blood Syndicate. Blood Syndicate are the characters that I'm not completely versed on. I didn't read all of the whole run from the 90s, just like the first chunk. So, but so I guess like going into a cold read with Blood Syndicate, it was okay. Like the ending with Holocaust, that was really intense. But I definitely like to see more of these characters flourishing on their own and not have an icon jump in and Static and Rocket, which are cool, but it's just I don't know. Sometimes crossovers are just really hit or miss for me. But yeah, how about you?
I love the Blood Syndicate when I remember when the original Milestone run came out, which I had a lot of that. Of course, it was stolen from me, but that's a whole different story right there. So I loved it, and Blood Syndicate was my favorite of the original one. Icon and Static were probably my second favorite. Hardware is probably my least favorite. This
That's
current
my favorite.
run, this current run, probably Icon, Hardware, Static. I probably rank them that way. Uh, Blood Syndicate was good, but it was dragged out, and to me, I'm a Thorn fan, but I understand why people don't like him. I understand that, you know. So I'm enjoying it. You just made me realize I got to go back and reread that Static because it's sitting on my stack. I'm like, damn it, I knew I missed something. That's what I missed. Okay, so I'm gonna do it.
Got Static on your stack.
Yep, Static's on my stack. All right, what else you got? You can't hear me again?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you now.
I said, what else? What else did you have?
Honestly, for recent reads, that's about it. I've been doing a book club with a friend of mine. We're going through Batman Hush right now, and then we're about to do Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which I haven't read yet ever.
Is that the Tom King
So we're gonna do
Superman?
that. So my reading's kind of, as far as like what I'm pulling, it's kind of lower than usual. Um, but uh, but yeah, been definitely reading, just like not as much. Like life got me busy and work got me
Oh, man, I
going
understand
over.
that, but I'm surprised
But yeah, I didn't even think about Copper Drop. That did not
well,
even enter into my brainwave.
we didn't even do Copper Drop this week. But what about Daredevil? Are you reading that?
No, so I tried to jump on to Daredevil whenever it was relaunched as a number one.
Uh-huh.
That was not a good. That should not have been a number one. No, I collected 3 issues of that because I was so excited. Like, yeah, this is an RC Daredevil run. I heard it's epic, and he's entering into a new saga. But now, because I'm still learning every day, Marvel renumbers their comics like crazy so that people feel a sense of comfort on jumping on. Um, but that Daredevil should not have been a number one. I was confused. It wasn't very new reader friendly. So I had to drop it just because I just wasn't feeling it. Yeah.
I mean, they hit number 10 this week, which was good to me, but it was kind of anticlimactic. I really felt like it reached its pitch when Frank Castle leader of the hand Punisher crossed over. That's when I feel like it reached its pitch, and I feel like okay, now we just kind of winding the ball back up for the next big thing to come. What else did I get this week? What about Vanish? Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman. Are you still reading Vanish, or were you reading Vanish? You can't hear me again. Can you hear me now?
Man, this is rough. I'm so
I know.
sorry. I don't know what's going on.
Vanish, Vanish from Image. Are you reading that, Donny Cates?
I read number one, and but not the rest. Not collecting it, but how is it?
I enjoy Vanish. I'm curious to see how they stick the landing on Vanish because it's taking an interesting direction. I
Mm.
like how the characters are getting got. I feel like it's a dark Harry Potter, basically. What if Harry
Oh,
Potter went crazy and was an addict? That's what essentially I figured it is. But this past issue is like I still don't know who to trust and what's real, so that intrigues me to keep doing it. And let's see, what else did I get? Um, Torrent, Guggenheim, Image Comics. Are you reading that? Well, now I can't hear you at all. You're muted. Okay.
I'm sorry. What from Image Comics?
Torrent, Torrent, Mark Guggenheim.
Oh, one more time.
Torrent, Torrent.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Check out Torrent. It's basically what if a superhero became started killing people because her family got attacked. That's the plot. Where we're in a world where basically this guy gets caught. He's like a new superhero, but he knows the identity of an established superhero, and the mobsters torture him, and he basically reveals the secret identity of this existing superhero. So the mobsters promptly launch a hit on her family and kill her husband and like almost kill her son. And she tries to go to police and all that stuff, and it like doesn't really work because the mob controls the police. So she gets the insurance settlement check and buys a bunch of guns and starts killing people. That's the
So
premise
much
of it.
killing. So much killing in comics right now.
But it's good because it's like, oh, it reminds me of this thing that gosh, I can't remember it now. Christos Gage used to write years ago, and I did the hit the hook was like some people just need killing. It was a superhero he had that basically had seen like one crime too many. He was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start killing people. I can't think what it was called. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think we were like, oh, I know what else I want to talk about. Sins of Sinister from Marvel. Were you reading it at all?
And right whenever you finish, I want to. No, I know what I want to talk about. Just, I lost you,
No,
man.
I
Oh
was saying Sins of Sinister from Marvel. Have you touched that at all?
no. I mean, I'm not really in tune with Marvel, but I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah, basically, Mr. Sinister. Of course, a Marvel's a long explanation. The short explanation is Mr. Sinister has found a way to create an alternate universe. The way he did this was basically, X-Men that have a resurrection protocol. Every time an X-Men died, he made sure a bit of his genetic material was in their resurrection to the point
Hmm.
where all the X-Men have become Sinisters.
Oh, this rings a bell.
Yeah. So that just concluded. But basically, they got reset back to the regular universe, but he got pulled. He lost, and it
Hmm.
was crazy. It was crazy to see unhinged X-Men who thought they were Mr. Sinister. Because they all had a little diamond and stuff like this. So they all think they're Mr. Sinister. So they all act like him, but they're still X-Men, and they just basically take over the galaxy.
Dang, that's crazy,
It
man.
was.
So I know X Men's like a can of worms in a way. Like, 'kay, I'm not a Marvel guy. I've always loved the X Men so much, but um, I'm not like like I don't know what's going on with them. But, like the Krakoa
Yeah.
era, I heard was just so like a big deal and a huge like some people loved it, some people hated it. Just kind of convoluted. I don't know, but I'm not like on the wave of X-Men comics. One day I'd like to be because they were my favorite things from Marvel whenever I was a kid. Everybody loved Spider-Man, Batman. I love the X-Men. I love the concept of different powers and stuff, but yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love X-Men? And it's amazing me because when I was a kid, X-Men was that was it. That was the book you read. You know, but by the time I got to be an adult, it had switched over to Avengers. Everybody was on the Avengers at that point. I'm like, wait, when did this happen?
Mhm.
But I got to give Hickman credit. He moved the X-Men in a completely different direction with the Krakoa stories. So no matter how much people hate on him, I'm like, hey, this is he moved in a different direction, similar to the way that Josh Whedon did with Astonishing X-Men, similar to the way that Grant Morrison did with New X-Men. I like it when characters get moved in different directions. Otherwise, I feel like comic fans like to see the same thing, but if you can see the same thing, it's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, true. It's just like whenever I was a kid, I loved X-Men and I loved the stories, the X-Men stories that I saw whenever I was a kid. Like X-Men animated series, from the 90s and then X-Men Evolution and then the X-Men movies, it was like Civil War, mutants versus mutants, like one side thinks they're right, like going up against Magneto and the Brotherhood, um, just like fighting for mutant rights, just kind of like street fights, street like just street level kind of scenarios, stories.
Right.
Um, but that's what I liked, and so I heard like just that side of X Men just hasn't been going on in comics for a while. It's kind of been just different takes, which, like you said, isn't bad. Like you don't want to do the same thing over and over, but it's just like uh, not my speed, I guess.
This is not my speed. I
I don't.
I, I get it. I mean, it's your hard-earned money, so you can just spend it on what you want to read. I
Yeah,
get it. Speaking of which, have you been following this Spider-Man thing that everybody's mad about now?
the Mary Jane thing.
Yeah, the Mary J thing. What's your take
Or
on it?
can you like remind me real quick? Like, what are the specifics?
And so I'm an occasional Spider-Man reader right now myself,
Okay.
but well, Peter Parker Spider-Man. I consistently follow Miles Morales Spider-Man. But basically, when Zeb Wells and them launched this new Spider-Man series, it basically ended where Peter Parker had done something, and everybody was mad at him. And Mary Jane was with this guy, and she had kids. So we're finding out now is that this villain from some story came and attacked them and trapped them in this alternate universe where time passes differently. And Peter tried to get out and escape, get married. He tried to get Mary Jane out, but he ended up having to be the one to escape. And basically, when he finally gets back to this universe, it looks like Mary Jane has had kids with this other guy who's stuck there. And I'm like, this is the worst thing to happen to Peter Parker since he found out Gwen Stacy may have boned, you know,
Yeah, that rings a
Norman
bell
Osborn.
now. I saw the discourse of that on Twitter and a little bit on TikTok, but that's wild. Hearing the specifics, I don't know. It's just well, I'm not a Spider-Man guy. Like I'm just not in tune with them. Like like a lot of Marvel stuff. But my understanding is they don't know what to do with Mary Jane. Like as far as the relationship between her and Peter, they don't know what to do with that.
Well, somebody, I think it was Joe Quesada, wanted Peter Parker to be single again, which I hate about this because I'm like, and I understand the nature of comic books. We gotta make everybody's comic book their first comic book. I get that. But the same thing for people like you and me who've been reading it for years. I'm like, let this guy grow up, man. Why is Peter Parker practically 30 years old still struggling to hold a job and pay his rent,
I was
when he
about to say,
hasn't
how old is he right now?
I think Peter Parker's perpetually like in his 30s now. perpetually. Like
Yeah.
Franklin Richards perpetually like 10. Well, no, I think Franklin Richards is supposed to be perpetually 10 or something like that. But I
Is
don't think that
he
makes
is he a
sense anymore.
photographer?
Yeah, what does he do now? I guess so. I don't even know what he does for work now.
I just
He,
remember like I played PlayStation 2 or Spider-Man 2 back in the day based on the movie. And like some of the tasks you would have to do is like deliver pizzas. And so you would be swinging from building to building, holding pizzas, trying to deliver it on time.
okay, he works for Norman Osborn now. That's what he does
Oh,
now. Which Norman Osborn is back and he's the White Goblin now, or a Golden Goblin, something like I forgot what he's called because Christopher Cantwell did a whole little series. You
yeah, I
know,
know the Gold Goblin is a thing now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he works for Norman Osborn because Norman Osborn is the only one that would help him without asking him 55 million questions when he's trying to reach that universe with Mary Jane in it. So it's interesting, but Zeb Wells he did something different. It looks like people are gonna hate it because I can think like people hate the Clone Saga, although it sold, but people
Oh
hated
yeah.
it. People
Yeah.
hated One More Day. One More Day made me quit Spider-Man comics. I remember that. I quit. I'm done. Um, Dan Slott got me back with the whole Superior Spider-Man thing with Dr. Octopus became Peter
Okay.
Parker. That got me back into Peter Parker Spider-Man. Um, and the sins past. Gwen Stacy having a relationship with Norman Osborn, which I think Nick Spencer retcon at the last story arc. So I'm like, well, they can't all be bangers.
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man is one of those comics or characters really that I've never gotten into, but I do plan on it because I know his comics are like super, super cool. It's just like I save a lot of money with just being DC and indie, you know. I'm sure you can imagine, but Spider-Man, absolutely. As far as Marvel, like top, like probably second to. Well, I don't know because I feel like Spider-Man comics are easier to get into right now than X-Men comics. So Spider-Man, X-Men, and Daredevil are all Marvel titles that I absolutely plan on just immersing myself in whenever I put in the time because it's hard to do that like with these long runs. But Spider-Man, I'm definitely excited because his Rose Gallery is one of the greatest. Him as a character has gets explored in many depths. So I think I could call him the Batman of Marvel, right?
And my question is, who has the better Rose Gallery, Batman or Spider-Man?
I can't answer that for certain because I just don't know enough Spider-Man comics, but I know it's a hot topic. Um, I mean, if I had to say, I don't know. I don't know. I guess that's more for you because since you know both pretty well.
I would say Batman because he has a deeper bench than Spider-Man does. But on the flip side, Spider-Man has more personal beef with a lot of his villains. Everybody knows the Norman Osborn, Peter Parker beef. He killed Gwen Stacy, but his relationship with Craven the Hunter, who when I was a kid shot him and buried him alive. I was like, my mother had just got me back in the day, you could get comics mailed to you. And
Hmm.
my brother just got me a script, and that's how I started. I'm like, what the heck is this? You shot Spider-Man and buried him alive, you know, and then you
That's
killed
dark.
yourself. You killed yourself. Then Craven killed himself at the end of that. And I'm like, what is this I'm reading? My mother
Oh,
had no
you.
idea what I was reading, and she probably see this like I had no idea he was reading that.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. Yeah, like the motivations with Batman's character villains are different and so like everybody has a different take. Like Riddler just wants to be the smartest person in Gotham, sees Batman as a threat. Joker is just obsessed at having that relationship with Batman. I mean, that's a there's different interpretations to what Joker is to Batman exactly. Penguin just a mob boss, Black Mask mob boss, Two Face had a relationship with Batman once upon a time, but now he's his alter ego just takes him different places. So I'm sure somebody's done like a comparison to Spider-Man rogues and Batman rogues, which I would like to see.
Yeah,
Someone give an in depth because you really could go in depth with that.
and I think Sergio L and I talked about comparing the Batman Rose Gallery to the Flash Rose Gallery, and I think what we ended up was
That's
that hey,
easier.
but I think also we said that hey, who's Robert who has it worse, Batman versus Joker or Flash versus Reverse Flash? And I think we ended up saying, hey, Reverse Flash Don has done everything in his power to screw Barry Allen over in every way possible. He went back in time and killed this man's mama, and like
multiple times.
yes, and it got his dad in jail. And then he found out that he like killed Barry Allen's best friend. Like he did all this stuff to him to like make his life miserable. Because he's like, I can't kill him because then I won't exist, but I'm gonna make him
Yep.
miserable. you know.
Do you read Flash?
Yeah, I read Flash.
Well, Reverse Flash. I'm glad you brought that up. Reverse Flash is one of my favorite villains of all time
Hmm.
for reasons that you just addressed. Like, I'm just fascinated when a villain truly has a hate relationship with the hero. Black Manta, my favorite villain of all time, despises Aquaman to the core. Reverse Flash despises Barry Allen to the core, but for different reasons. I think um, the like God, I love Reverse Flash so much. Like the different versions too. But Eobard Thawne hates Barry Allen and has done all those terrible things to him that you just mentioned. He's obsessed with just tormenting him for all eternity, and that's just amazing to me. Um, between Batman and Flash, I will say Flash stays busier. I think with his villains, like you got all these different um, arcs with the rogues. You know, Colt, Captain Cold, Heatwave, Golden Glider. You know those guys, Trickster.
Hmm. Yep.
Like J- Josh Williamson's run had like 3 or 4 different arcs with just those characters, and then Reverse Flash, of course, and then new villains. I would say it's. I don't know if this answers the question, but I would say Flash stays busier with his rogues, you know, because they're all over the place. Versus Batman, where a villain does something and he has to do detective work to find out who that villain is, why they're doing it, and then stop them. You know, Flash is a little bit more, no pun intended, but like his stories are a little more quick. No pun
Yeah, I
intended,
mean,
but
and I get it. I mean, and they just came out. Jeremy Adams just breathed. I think he breathed a lot of life into Flash with this 1 minute war.
mm,
I've enjoyed a lot of his stories. I call it putting respect back on Wally West's name. I even enjoy how he incorporates, the newer Wally West, that was brought in, Wallace West or Ace. I mean, I really enjoy his run. It's coming to an end. Simon Spurrier is about to take over Flash, is my understanding. I thought it was be Mark
yep,
Wade, but I think it's Simon Spurrier. So I'm curious to see because I like Simon Spurrier, but I'm like the only thing I like, that was his book. He owned it. Was Legion when he was writing Xavier's son in Legion,
okay,
X Men Legacy Legion, I think was the name of the book. Other than
gotcha.
that, Simon Spurrier, I read his stuff, I enjoy it, but I don't think it's anything like, oh, this is his book. He owned it. Like I can say it about Mark Wade. Mark Wade owned it when he was on Flash. He owned it when he was on Justice League. You know, certain things I expect.
Yeah, did you collect the Mark Wade Flash?
Yeah, I had that in the collections too, man. I had some of it. Because when I first started buying comic books, Barry Allen was dead, so Wally West was the Flash I grew up with, and really the guy
Okay,
was William Messner Loebs. He was the writer when I first got on there, and
okay,
that was the first thing I discovered. Vandal Savage. She was like Flash 50, like the Flash is dead, long live the Flash or something like that.
yeah,
Where Vandal Savage took Wally West's powers and shot him, but
dang,
somehow he came back to life. It was like you had been reading it before then with somebody this cybernetic villain Kilgore basically
hmm
put like a bullet or something and he shot Flash but left a part of himself inside Flash. And that's how he survived. Wally West survived. He basically repaired Wally West's heart after Vandal Savage shot and killed him.
wow. So you would say Wally West is more your Flash?
He is, but I accept everybody wants Barry Allen because my uncle was like, Barry Allen was his Flash. He's like, well, where Barry Allen at? I don't care. And when Jeff Johns came back, just like Jeff Johns brought Hal Jordan back, he brought Barry Allen back. And I'm like,
Yeah,
it's the way it's gonna be. But I like the families because I like to see the different variations of the characters.
right. I like that that dynamic exists in the Flash. Like I like how there's 2 Flashes to choose from. You know, like in Batman, there's only one Batman, and It's not like you can say like, who do you prefer, Batman or Nightwing? It's a different, two totally different things. But Wally West and Barry Allen, they're both the they can both be the Flash, but it's just you're just looking at different stories and different dynamics. Like Wally West, him and his wife and his kids, and Barry Allen and him and I'm pretty sure they're married now, I think.
Well,
But yeah.
it's been redone, but basically he proposed to Iris when they finished the 1 Minute War. So
Oh,
then,
okay.
so that's where they are. And I mean, you can make that same argument about, you got I Am Batman, John Ridley's with Tim Fox Batman.
Yeah.
I I
Well,
I, I enjoyed that, but
yeah.
Ridley has become. Let me ask you this: do you remember this writer in comics called Chuck Austin? Do you remember Chuck Austin? He used to write X
Mm-mm,
Men, Superman.
I
Chuck
don't.
Austin, in my opinion, was the most hated writer in comics for years. People hated this guy, but he always got work. But people hated him. You know,
There's a
I
lot of those.
I feel like John Ridley is that person now. Like people hate him,
Really?
but man, bro, people hated John Ridley's run on Black Panther, and I get why. But I also said what John Ridley was trying to do. But I know John Ridley from his novel and TV work first, and him
Is
comics
it?
comics second.
Isn't his run on Black Panther really, really recent?
Yeah, it's over. Because Eve Ewing, her run starts like next month. Well, I guess May is April 30th.
Because I didn't read it, but I heard on TikTok or Instagram where somebody was giving like a hot like just explaining the latest issue of Black Panther. Like, guys, he is no longer the king of Wakanda. This is a game changer. Like, is that true?
That is true. He is no longer the
Wow,
king of Wakanda. And actually, I think he's exiled from Wakanda. He's not technically supposed to be there.
interesting. Is John Ridley's run? So you liked it, right?
Like is an indifferent term.
Okay,
I was willing to give it a try, and I'll go back and reread it, and I had to pick like what I like and dislike. That's how I had to approach it. My
okay.
favorite run of Black Panther is going to be Christopher Priest, and probably followed
Oh,
by because that's what got me to really like Black Panther, and probably followed by I can't think what his name Tanahashi Coates is probably my second favorite
yeah.
run, and then Reggie Hudlin's probably my third favorite at this point.
Reggie Hudlin did a run.
Yes, man, Reggie Hudlin did a run. You got to go back and check it out, Ruben.
Yeah. So which Black Panther run would you say is the better starting point? Like which one could I pick up and start reading?
Christopher Priest, Marvel Knights, The
Okay,
Client. Yeah, The
gotcha.
Client. And
I remember
that's in
that.
trade. You can get that. I think Max Texiera was the artist. That's what started off. That's what started this whole Black Panther, Dora Milaje. That's it right there.
Gotcha. Well, I have something else I want to bring up, and maybe we could wrap up here. But
Yep.
have you seen the Dawn of DC titles that were announced this past week? Because some of them are absolutely amazing. Blue Beetle. Okay, so go ahead.
I did not see him, so I was like, well, go ahead and tell me. Go ahead and tell me.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, I can't tell all the specifics. There's a lot of new blood coming out. So Blue Beetle graduation day, it's over, but it's the creative team is coming back for an ongoing series with Blue Beetle, um, with the same creative team. And I mean, I will say it does help that we got a movie coming out,
Right.
and they announced a few other series, Power Girl.
Okay. You mentioned that
Um,
earlier. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I don't recall the exact creative team, but it's a veteran, Leah Williams, that's the
Yep.
writer. She's, I think it's a mini series, pretty sure. I don't know. Fire and Ice, that many people know from Justice League Unlimited.
What?
They're from
Fire and
the
Ice getting this? They getting the series?
Fire and Ice Smallville is the name of the series.
What?
Somebody, did y'all hear about it? Can somebody help me out with that title? Fire and Ice Go to Smallville or From Smallville, something like that. But yeah, they're getting a mini series, and it's like just these titles that are just nobody would see them coming, and like I'm all for it. Like this, I will be supporting some of these titles for sure. Power Girl, Fire and Ice, Blue Beetle. Of course, we got Shazam, Doom Patrol rolling out, Green Arrow, a lot of good stuff. Like there's just this is a really good time. Like they're finally doing what people wish they were doing like last year or the year before, and cutting back on Batman books and bringing out all these other characters. And but I don't mean this in a bad way, but Superman's titles are where Batman's titles were last year. There's so many Superman books right now, like
Well, I
in
mean,
continuity.
but I'm sure that's a corporate directive too. Like, hey, we getting ready to do Superman movie that James Gunn is tweeting about. We need comic books to back it up.
Yeah,
Superman, Lois and Clark. Is it Superman and Lois? Whatever it is.
Superman and Lois. Yeah,
Yeah, that's doing well apparently. I'm behind on it. I'm actually catching up on the Flash. I caught up on the Flash yesterday. When I
uh-huh.
saw Arrow came back to the Flash. I was okay, all right.
Yeah,
So I love what you're saying. I agree with you. But what's gonna happen inevitably is sales are gonna dip, and they're gonna start putting out more Batman books because people don't support lower tier characters. Or
that's what I'm saying. It's not DC's fault. It's like they want it. If it was up to DC, they would have a run for all of their characters. But those characters need support. They have to justify um, the products they produce based on numbers, and so people get mad at all the Batman books. But hey, like, what obscure, lesser known characters are on your pull list? Like, who are you supporting? But I don't know. You can't. Not everybody can do what you want them to do. I don't know. It's just like you can't complain unless you buy. Bottom line.
right, and after that's perfect way to end it. You cannot complain unless you buy.
Yeah, just like if you talk politics, like if you're complaining about whoever's in charge, did you vote? Like if you didn't vote, you can't complain. Like
Exactly.
you have the power to make a difference. Speak with your wallet. Like tell if you don't want to buy physical. I'm just gonna tell all y'all right here, right now. If y'all are listening and y'all want DC to be doing something differently, or even Marvel, if y'all are tired of Star Wars books or X-Men books and not books on um, who's lacking in Marvel right now. Um, I don't even know. Like, take it away, Marklin. Who's a Marvel character that deserves a run right now?
Let's just say Ant-Man. Let's say Ant-Man. Just
Ant
pick a
Man.
character. Yeah,
Yeah, if you want more Ant Man books, when Ant Man gets a run, support him.
right.
Uh, just if you don't want to buy physical or commit to buying physical, buy digital. Like those sales work too. Of course, like support your LCS if you can, but just speak with your wallet. Like that's what happened with Blue Beetle getting an ongoing. Poison Ivy was a 6-issue series, got extended to 12 issues, and then got extended to an ongoing. Like this happens. This is possible. We just got to tell them we want it.
Yep. Tell them we want it and vote with your wallet, man. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, but I think that's it for this week of the House of Nerd. We don't we really got comic heavy. See, they need to do
Yeah.
this again.
Yes, yes. Even if we do our own segment, we could just do. Let's do a hot take segment. That'd be fun.
Yeah, hot takes. I like
Yeah,
that.
that would get heated pretty quick. But hey, that's what it's about.
Well, you see, and especially when I say, I stirred them up with that, like, hey, I think the Batman is less than this right here. They about to.
Shazam, you like Free of the Gods Shazam 2 better than the Batman.
I don't know. I'll probably watch that first before the end. I'll probably watch Black Adam, then Shazam, then probably go back to the Batman because it's just different. But they're all three different movies, just
Them
based.
fighting words.
I know. All
But
right.
yeah, but guys, thanks for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. Um, I love doing nerd talk. It's always good for the soul. Thanks for bearing with us for the many, many technical difficulties we had. But hey, we're not the pros here. Um, Next week we will Sergio will be
Sergio
back.
she should be back next week
If
because I'm
not,
not gonna
if
be here
not,
this week.
hey, let's do it again.
Well, we know it depends. We'll see because I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how it works. But yeah, it's always a pleasure, brother. So I'm gonna go ahead and get us out of here. So
All right.
we'll holler at y'all on the flip side.
Peace.
Peace.